Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to the weekly roundup. It is Friday, May the 17th, 2024. And to say that it's been a massive week in boxing and a massive weekend coming up in boxing is very much an understatement. Again, last week we had Kambosos, Lomachenko in Perth. This weekend we have Fury versus Usyk in Saudi Arabia. And it's a good time to be a boxing fan at the moment. There's so much going on. And every weekend it seems like there's plenty going on to look forward to and big fights. And the weekend before that we had Canelo and Munguia, of course. But as I said, a great time to be a boxing fan, both here in Australia and, of course, around the world. So we'll start with the Australian scene as all geared towards one event, and that was last weekend, of course. George Kambosos Jr. losing in the 11th round to Vasily Lomachenko in the IBF lightweight world title fight. George fell to 21-3. Lomachenko improved to 18-3. And look, a massive event. I think there was 15 or 16,000 people there. I was fortunate enough to be there in attendance, and what an event. A little bit of controversy on the undercard that we'll get to in a second, but the main event, full credit to both guys. Loma coming to Australia, the hometown of George, well, not the hometown, but the home country of George Kambosos. George Kambosos putting it on the line and fighting another all-time great. I won't say another all-time great. This guy is an all-time great. I wouldn't put Haney and Lopez in the all-time greats at this stage, but you never know what's going to happen down the track. But either way, top-tier, A-level competition. 4 fights out of his last 5. So full credit to George. He, as they say, dared to be great. But on the day, Vasily Lomachenko, just a masterclass. Took everything that George had to offer. And I've said this a couple of times, I still don't think Lomachenko got out of second or third gear. But that's no disrespect to George Kambosos. He did his best. He bought everything that he could. And regardless of the result, I'm just so impressed and thankful, if I've got to say, to George Kambosos, who continues to take these big fights and bringing someone like Lomachenko to Australian shores. And I know, I know 3 or 4 people just personally, just local people who actually travelled to Perth because they wanted to see Vasily Lomachenko in the flesh. So this is the effect and the pull that this guy has. So again, thank you to George Kambosos and Luda Bella and Top Rank and everyone else that was involved for bringing this event to Australia. So a little unfortunate for George Kambosos. Where does he go now? Well, I think he'll still be in the game. I can't see at 30 years of age or 31, whatever he is, that he would call it a day. I did see his post on Instagram, I think it was this morning or last night, whatever it was, and I think it's pretty obvious that he will be back, and again, I hope he'll be back. So many big fights left for George, and I know a lot of people think, well, where does he go? He's lost to Haney and now Lomachenko, but there's still plenty of other big fights out there for him. It might be a Shakur Stevenson looking for a fight. It might be, a Pitbull or one of these guys either comes back down or George goes up. There's some good fights out there for him. Might be Navarrete hangs around. It's just, you just don't know what's going to be out there for George. But at the end of the day, I think he's still a marketable name. There's going to be up-and-comers that want to fight him. There might be other champions that might have a voluntary defence, or there might be a substitution. You just don't know. But at the end of the day, I think George Kambosos has still got far too much to offer than just to retire and go away. And so much money to be made. I mean, this is what it all comes down to as well. These guys are prize fighters. And I think the fact that in the Haney fight, he didn't, even though he was outpointed, he didn't take a lot of punishment. And in this fight as well against Lomachenko, he didn't take a lot of punishment either. While lasting punishment is probably the better term. He did take some punches during it, but he was stopped with body shots. I just don't think there would have been any long-lasting effects in that stoppage loss. And as I said, why not keep continuing? You're a long time retired, as they say. So I think we'll see a bit more of George Kambosos in the future. And let's see who else he can bring to Australia, or worst case, who he can fight overseas. As for Loma, there's been some fights mentioned for him already. Tank Davis, Emmanuel Navarrete, who fights this weekend, Shakur Stevenson, of course. They're probably the big 3. But plenty of options for Vasily Lomachenko anyway. And look, that's if he wants these options. He's 36 years of age now. Who knows? Maybe he just wants one big fight to finish up. He's had a long career, not just in the pros, of course. He had 397 fights in the amateurs. And pretty much since his second pro fight, he's had 21 now, of course, since his second pro fight, pretty much all been world title fights. So This guy is an all-time great, a first ballot Hall of Famer. And whatever he decides to do next is totally on him. But as I said, I would maybe think if he might try for one of those guys. I think you'd almost put a line maybe through a Navarrete, even though I think Loma wins that fight. I think if you got a Tank Davis or a Shakur Stevenson fight, that might be enough just to say goodbye for Loma. Get a good payday and sail off into the sunset, as they say. But either way, for Loma, he's been an all-time great. Whatever he decides next, well, good luck to him and whatever he decides to do. On the undercard, well, 2 sets of controversial fights there was. The first one was the female fight as the main support, Shanika Johnson losing and then winning a 10-round decision over Britain's Nina Hughes. That was for the WBA Super Bantamweight World title. So Shanika Johnson improves to 16-2. Nina Hughes drops to 6-1. I still don't know how she won a world title and defended it in 6 fights, by the way, but that's a whole different story. The official scorecards, 98-92, 96-94, and 95-95. Now, if you don't know it, I'm sure you do if you're watching this, Lieutenant Dan Hennessy, the ring announcer, actually announced these scores for Nina Hughes, and about 10 seconds later realised he'd made a mistake and called both boxers back to centre ring and then announced Shanika Johnson as the winner and new WBA Super Bantamweight champion. There's been a lot said about this, particularly on social media since this, to the point where Lieutenant Dan Hennessy is at this stage announced that he will no longer be announcing. Look, is it too harsh? Look, it's arguably it's arguable whether it's a right decision or not. My personal opinion is that he stuffed up. He stuffed up big time, especially with the scorecards. It did actually say on the bottom of the official scorecards, Johnson wins by majority decision. So I don't know how we managed to get Nina Hughes' name out of that. We'll forever be guessing. But he has put it on his social media accounts that this will be his second last show. He has made a commitment to another promoter that he will honour. Now, is it a little bit harsh? Maybe. But end of the day, this is not the local or show down at the local town hall. This is one of the biggest events in Australian boxing history here in Australia. Pay-per-view, going all over the world. World title fight, of course. So is it unforgivable? Or maybe. As they say, you had one job, and I still don't know how he's managed to do it. But while I don't agree with the pile-on that he's getting at the moment, and who knows, I can just imagine some of the things that people send people without even thinking about what it does to their mental health and whatever else it might be. But the fact that he's now announced that he'll be retiring, obviously it hasn't been good for Lieutenant Dan. So as I said, I think, yes, he needs to wear it, which he did. He owned up to it on social media. He accepted that he stuffed up. So you give him a little bit of credit for that, I suppose, and maybe he's over-exaggerating. But again, this is high stakes. This is the big time. And the fact that he got it wrong, he has to wear the repercussions of the feedback. I'm hoping, though, that he does maybe reconsider. Maybe he lays low for a few months and then comes back. Who knows? But I think it's a little bit harsh to want him out of the sport, or for him to actually want to get out of the sport. But as I said, I'm not in his position, and I don't know the pressures of having probably thousands of people inundating your inbox of your social media and everything. But end of the day, Shanika Johnson with the 10-round decision win over Nina Hughes to become Australia's second female world champion. The other contentious fight on the undercard was Andrew Maloney. Now, he dropped a 12-round decision to Mexico's Pedro Guevara. Andrew dropped to 26-4. Guevara improved to 42-4-1. That was for the WBC interim super flyweight title. The official score was 115-113 times 2 for Guevara and 116-113 for Andrew Maloney. And look, in my personal opinion, I thought that Andrew Maloney won the fight. I think 7 rounds to 5, so 115-113. Having said that, I haven't watched it back on not social media, on YouTube or anything like that. I'm just going by what I saw at the fight. But judging by, it's interesting, the backlash from the Australian fight fans would tell you, and not just the fight fans. Sean Porter at ringside scored it for Andrew Maloney as well, 10 rounds to 2, if you will. But then you look at the overseas sites, and a lot of them are more sort of leaning towards Guevara. So I don't know. I'll have to watch it again. But on the day, as I said, I thought that Andrew Maloney won the fight. And he did announce his retirement after the fight. I had a feeling it might have been maybe jumping the gun a little bit, and since then he's actually retracted that and said, look, he can't leave on or in this situation. To his credit, Guevara did offer him a rematch in the ring afterwards, and apparently Team Maloney has spoken to Mauricio Suleiman, the president of the WBC, who has assured them that he will enforce the rematch. So we will see Maloney Guevara 2, most likely later in the year. Andrew did have a torn bicep going into the fight. He has to have that operated on first. So the odds are maybe we might see that in the last couple of months of the year, I would say. Guevara might even have a defense in the meantime, who knows? But end of the day, we will get a Maloney Guevara rematch, which I think is warranted. I think when these really, really close fights that are highly contentious, just let them do it again, and let's sort out who is the better man. Two other fights on that card, or there was three, but the two sort of main fights, the swing fights, were Joseph Goodall. He improved to 11-2-1 with a 10th round stoppage of Fager Django Apalu. He dropped to 16-5-2. That was over 10 rounds. Got to give Apalu credit, I will say. He's fought the likes of Joseph Parker and Justice Honey and pretty much anyone that that wants to put their hand up to fight. So. And now you can add Joe Goodall to the list. Also on that, those other heavyweight swing fights was Lucas Brown calling it a day. He was stopped in the first round. Really sad way to go out by Himi Ohio, or Ohio, I think we'll say Ohio. So, yeah, as I said, Lucas Brown dropped to 31-6. Ohio improved to 22-1. That was an 8-round heavyweight fight. So it is a shame for Lucas Big Daddy Brown to go out that way. He's been an absolute warrior over the years. He started boxing at a very late age, in his 30s, if you will. So he achieved a hell of a lot, became the first Australian to hold a version of the world title. So good on him, and the best of luck in retirement to Lucas Big Daddy Brown. Onto the world scene, and it's all about one fight this weekend. It's Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Now, this is the first time we've had this situation in 25 years. So I don't have to say that it's a massive fight in the scheme of things. The heavyweight title is the biggest prize in world sports. And we've got two undefeated fighters that are going to lock horns in centre ring in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Sunday morning here in Australia. And, of course, we all can't wait. So Tyson Fury, 34-0-1. Usyk 21-0, the former undisputed cruiserweight champion as well. So there has been a few little things this week, as to always be expected. It started with Tyson Fury's dad, John Fury, clashing with the team of Alexander Usyk in the foyer of the hotel, to the point where he actually headbutted a member of Alexander Usyk's team and actually came off second best. You've probably seen it. He had the cut in the middle of the head and the blood everywhere. So not a great start. And then in the last couple of days, it was a little bit interesting. We've had two things sort of happen that did sort of get my attention. We've had the fact that at the final press conference that Tyson Fury did not want to face off with Alexander Usyk. It was actually a pretty comical affair. Usyk went into face-off mode and turned to face Fury and looked straight ahead. Tyson Fury did not turn. He looked at the crowd, put his fists up and waved to the crowd and everything else, but would not turn and face Alexander Usyk. Now, is that gamesmanship? Does he not want to see? Who knows? I've got a feeling he just doesn't probably want to give Usyk any, I suppose, not ammunition, but the respect, I suppose, of actually facing off. Maybe he just thinks he's done enough and he's over all the media stuff and just wants to get on with it and wave to the crowd and not be fussed about all that stuff. Well, we won't know, but it was a little bit comical to see that Usyk stood there for a few minutes, actually, and looked straight ahead like he was facing off for Fury, but he was looking out into the crowd. It was quite funny. The other thing that's come up is the ring. Now, Alexander Usyk has made well, I won't say it's an official complaint, but it has raised concerns about the ring. There's apparently a seam in the ring that might be a tripping hazard. It does rise a bit, according to him. A couple of the undercard fighters who did the open workout said they didn't really know or notice anything untoward, but Alexander Usyk has made the officials aware that there is a seam in the ring that might make it a little bit uncomfortable for him. So I'm sure all that will be sorted out. And look, we're a day before the weigh-in, so I'm sure there'll be another couple of things that will come up. Who knows? It could be the gloves, it could be the ring size, it could be the way they're going to tape their hands. Who knows? But probably keep an eye out. There's got to be something else that comes up that is a little bit controversial, but hopefully not. So just on the Fury and Usyk fight, I will be doing a live watch along on Sunday morning from 6 a.m. It should encompass the main support and the main event. It is not a live stream, so please don't come on and expect to watch the fight if you haven't paid for it. It is me, what is you watching me watch the fight and engaging with other fans and giving our opinions and comments and everything else. So it's not a live stream again. So if you see it, just come on there if you want to hang out with us boxing fans on Sunday morning. I'm assuming a lot of your better halves will still be in bed. Kids will be in bed. So you're going to be watching the fight alone. So come on and join us, the rest of us boxing fans, to watch the fight together. The main support of that card will be Jaya Pataya and Maris Breedis clashing for the second time for the IBF Cruiserweight Championship again. It's amazing that Breedis was the champion. Pataya won the title off him. But these two, without losing a fight in between, are now fighting for the vacant title. Of course, it was taken off Jai, and now it's been reinstated as for this fight. But Jai is 24-0, Breedis 28-2. Been a little bit back and forth, not so much against each other, but both fighters have been pretty vocal about what they have to do to win this fight and what they're going to bring and what they're going to do. So I think it's going to be a better fight than the original. I think we're going to see Breedis is probably a little bit more switched on this time. And then you're going to see Jaya Pataya, who's a little bit more mature and experienced going into this fight as well. So it's over 12 rounds, of course. So that should be on at about 6:30, I would think, maybe 7 in the morning, 6:30, 7 a.m. in the morning. But as I said, I will be going live at 6 a.m. The other fights on the undercard to round out the card, Joe Cordina, 17-0. He'll fight Anthony Casasi, I think is how you pronounce it, 21-1 over 12 rounds for the IBF 130-pound title. And Sergey Kovalev, the Crusher, 35-4-1. He'll fight prospect Robin Sirwan Safa, who's 16-0 over 10 rounds at cruiserweight. And Frank Sanchez, if I can get that out, heavyweight prospect, 24-0. He'll fight Ajit Caballel, 24-0. Also at heavyweight over 12 rounds. So it's a massive day of boxing as far as rounds go. Look, I'll be honest now, I'm not going to get up at 2 a.m. or stay awake until 2 a.m. to watch the whole card, but I will be up for the majority of it. But what a massive card. It's pretty good if you're actually over there in Saudi Arabia. It's an all-day boxing affair. But yeah, big day for us down under here in the Southern Hemisphere. So again, if you haven't got that, you can't get it on Foxtel or Main Event for some reason. If you're going to buy it, it has to be on DAZN, so you have to be a subscriber. So if you are a subscriber, log in and buy that. I think it's only about $35, so very affordable. So I can't wait for a massive day of boxing on Sunday morning here in Australia. Some other fights are being muted by they called him His Excellency. We'll call him Turkey Al Sheikh, I think his name is. He's planning a big show in England at Wembley Stadium on September 21. He wants Anthony Joshua there to headline that event to fight the winner of the Hrgovic and Daniel Dubois fight. The undercard hasn't really been talked about too much at the moment, but Anthony Joshua will fight in either September 20th or September 21st, I think it is, but at Wembley Stadium. And as I said, it will be against the winner of Hrgovic and Dubois. And you can just imagine the undercard of that will be stacked as well. So Joshua 28-3, Hrgovic is 17-0, Dubois is 20-2. So whoever gets that shot at Anthony Joshua will be a massive fight in England. Speaking of Turkey Al Sheikh, he's actually brought up he would like to see Naoya Inoue step up and fight Gervonta Tank Davis. I'm not sure this fight happens. Inoue is at 122 and is probably a division above where he's most comfortable anyway. That's one. I think he's more comfortable at 118, but he's at 122 at the moment. Gervonta Davis is 135. I'm not sure whether he'll be able to make that happen, but if anyone can do it, it's Turkey Al Sheikh with an unlimited checkbook. So we'll see what happens there. I would strongly doubt that. I couldn't see Inoue wanting to go to 135, even going up to 130, which I think is probably the maximum that Davis would want to come down. So it depends on whether Davis can get his weight down. As I said, I strongly doubt he'd be able to get any lower than maybe low 130s. And Inoue would have to put on about 10 to 12 pounds as well, which is about 5 kilos. It's a lot of weight. So I strongly doubt it. But if anyone can do it, the Sheikh or Turkey LL Sheik can do it. And again, with Turkey LL Sheik, he's also trying to get the Canelo Alvarez Terence Crawford fight for late 2024, early 2025. Again, I'm a little bit doubtful of that one. I would think that Terence Crawford would probably want to fight Tim Tszyu. They're both on the same card, of course, in August. Canelo Alvarez, I think, would probably want to stay at 168. Who he fights is another thing, with Benavides and Morrell both going to 175. So running out of options. So look, you never know. But again, if Turkey LL Sheik decides to put the checkbook on the table and say, write your own amount, you never know. Speaking of actually with Canelo, a little bit of a spanner in the works for him at the moment. The IBF have ordered him to defend that IBF belt against William Skull. Now, if you don't know anything about him, well, join the club. The only thing I do know about him is he's 22-0. He's of Cuban descent, but has beaten absolutely nobody. So nowhere in this universe, anywhere you would look at, does he deserve a world title shot against Canelo Alvarez? But the IBF have said that purse bids must happen within the next 28 days. Look, I've got a feeling if the WBC can't get a Canelo Benavides fight, I don't think the IBF are going to convince Canelo Alvarez to fight William Skull. So let's just hope Canelo doesn't actually decide to honour that demand by the IBF and relinquishes that belt, or just simply says, well, I'm not going to defend him, do what you will. You've got to remember the sanctioning fees that the sanctioning bodies get are astronomical, could be 2, 3, 4% of a fighter's purse. And when you got Canelo earning $50 or $60 million, well, you do the sums. It's a lot of money for them to give up for William Skull to fight someone for a couple of $100,000 each. So eyes on that one as well. This weekend, big fight. I'm looking forward to this. Emmanuel Navarrete, 38-1-1. He's going to fight Dennis Berenchuk, who's 18-0 over 12 rounds for the vacant WBO lightweight title. Now, it is on ESPN. I'm not quite sure whether it's here in Australia, but obviously over in America, it'll be on live. That's from San Diego, California. So check your local guides for that one. Really looking forward to that. Navarrete always brings the goods when he fights. Another bit of news, Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, has been rescheduled for December. Tentatively, though, I will say, because Beterbiev has got to get through his rehab with the torn meniscus, but that's what they're looking at the moment. Bivol, of course, will fight who's it? Madev, I think it was. Sorry, I haven't got that written down. Apologies about that. He just fought, of course, on the Nikita Tszyu undercard. So he'll be in July. Is it July 1 or June 1, whatever it is? I think it's June 1, sorry, for the 5 versus 5 card. And the aim will be for Bivol then to fight Beterbiev at the end of the year. So who knows, if David Benavides wins the WBC vacant title next month as well, maybe they might do Bivol against Benavides. If Bivol, they might do Bivol and Benavides if Beterbiev can't get up. Gee, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Anyway, we'll move on from that one. Just another couple of things, guys. Devin Haney's lawyers are trying to get a disqualification win over Ryan Garcia. If you don't know, of course, Ryan Garcia has tested positive, allegedly, to PEDs, prohibited IV use and weight manipulation. So that's the grounds they're going with, is Devin Haney's lawyers. So they're trying to get it overturned and Garcia disqualified, or at least a no contest. I don't think it would be great for Devin Haney's legacy, if you will, if he was awarded a disqualification win over Ryan Garcia. A no contest, maybe you would accept, but I think it would take a long time for him to actually live that down if it was actually turned into a win for Devin Haney. But I mean, everyone's got their own opinions. I would probably think if he's found guilty, give him a lengthy ban and fine, and just call it a no contest. All right, we've also got a little bit of controversy with the WBA this week. Now, Gervonta Davis, Frank Martin are fighting for the WBA lightweight title, the secondary title. Now, there was talk that there would be a new rehydration rule. Now, the IBF have one in place. The WBA are about to start the rehydration clause, meaning that, for instance, it might be the weight gain capped between the weigh-in and the fight at, say, 10 pounds, which is about 4.5 kilograms to us in the metric system. So the WBA put out a statement to say they were going to do it and start with the Davis and Martin fight. Now they've actually retracted that or wound it back. So it doesn't look like it's going to happen for this fight, but the word is going forward. that anyone fighting for the WBA belt will have a weight cap. Or a weight limit that's between the weigh-in and the fight. So, look, I'm not against that. I think it's actually a good thing. It probably eliminates the weight bullies that put on 20 to 25 pounds per fight. I know everyone has different ideas or opinions on that, but for me, I think that would be a good thing and a safety thing as well, that fighters aren't draining themselves too far down to make weight in the first place. Yes, they've got a day and a half, whatever, to rehydrate, but it is so dangerous to lose that 20 to 25 pounds and then try and put it on really quickly. So, again, we'll see what happens there with the WBA. There is another little factor that's I did see that was raised that they might do, is that the current WBA champions would be exempt. So what I'm saying is, if you're a current WBA champion, these rules would not apply to you. You can keep going about your business and draining down and putting on the weight. It will be any new champions that it would relate to. So again, that's sort of fraught with danger as well, and controversy and everything else. Whether they can get away with that, I'm not quite sure, but we'll keep an eye on that one with the WBA. But as I said, the word is that they will bring in that rehydration clause. And just one more thing to finish off on, guys. 3 fighters have made it onto the Forbes highest paid athletes list this year. Canelo Alvarez came in at number 14. He earned $85 million in the last year. Anthony Joshua was number 16. He earned $83 million. And Tyson Fury came in at number 42. He earned $50 million. And of course, this weekend's fight will probably push him up past Anthony Joshua, maybe even past Canelo Alvarez as well. I'm not quite sure what he's getting paid, but you would probably think it would be $30 to $40 million. Again, I don't know the exact amounts, but you would think that after this weekend that Tyson Fury would be the highest paid boxer in the sport and probably in the top 10 worldwide. So it's not bad being a boxer these days. I know they do it hard. They deserve every cent. But when you've got this amount of coin being thrown your way, it must be very hard to call it a day and walk away, which Tyson Fury is threatened to do numerous times. And if he fights Usyk in a rematch, and then maybe Anthony Joshua, I would think Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury would probably earn $100 million each if they happen to fight. So there it is. Anyway, guys, that is the weekly roundup. I hope you have a great weekend watching the fights. And again, if you've got nothing to do on Sunday morning, or you want some company while you're watching the big fight, tune in from 6 a.m. here on the Boxing Deep Dive YouTube channel. So until next week, we'll catch you then.